Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back. Today is Tuesday, March 11th. The S&P 500 was down 0.76% today. Dow Jones was down 1.14%. NASDAQ was down 0.18%. And the New York Stock Exchange Composite was down 0.78%. In terms of today's top strategies, it looks like Alpha, another day with Alpha on top. Although we do have expected return coming in here as well. So expected return is the average return over a period of time, and in this instance, the metric used 3 years of history and 5 years of history. The one thing of note here for today is you can see there are a number of strategies in the 20 and 30 stock range that have come into play here. So over the course of today and yesterday, if you had a larger quantity of stocks, maybe you're doing a little bit better. That's at least what our testing is showing here. And if you've been following along the last few weeks, you know that primarily it's been 5 and 8 stocks and only a few stocks in terms of those test portfolios that have been performing well over the last few weeks. So that's a little bit of a nuance for today to see some of those larger portfolios come into play. In terms of the highest volume for today, we had Blue Hat Interactive, we had NVIDIA, Ford Motor Company, NIO, Tesla. I feel like I'm kind of talking about a lot of the same companies here every day, but I always find it interesting just to see where the highest volume is at. Sometimes you can see it with some of the highest earners, like this Syros Pharmaceuticals. You can see that came in at number 3 down here on the largest gains for the day with a gain of 48%. You can also see 270 Bio Inc. had a 76% gain. Sonoma Pharmaceuticals down here, 24.7% gain. And then in terms of some of the largest losses that are out there, you can see this table over here. You know, we talked about Saks Parente Golf a little bit last week. And then you can see the Kohl's Corporation on here as well. They announced closure of a number of their stores. I don't remember the exact number. I want to say like 50, but that might be wrong. But they announced a closure of a number of their retail stores. So not a great time to be in the retail environment. I know Macy's has also come out saying that they're going to close a number of their stores as well. So if you're going to invest in the retail sector, just make sure to do your due diligence and take a look at that. Make sure you're picking a good company. So in terms of today, this portfolio isn't showing up quite right. I got to go behind the scenes and make a few tweaks here. This whole system is set up to build like a virtual $1 million portfolio. So I'm kind of hacking it a little bit, trying to force it to track along this portfolio. And as I updated it today, I realized I got to do a little bit behind the scenes in terms of getting these values correctly. So for the day, I did experience a 0.98% gain, so almost 1%. Versus, the S&P 500 losing 0.75 of a point. The other thing that you'll notice here, yesterday, that return is wrong. So I've got to go in there and correct this transaction. But that's one of the cool things about having a platform like this. I created this. I've been working on these methods for the last 13 years, but I've been working on this site for probably the last year and a half, really intensely for the last 6 months. And about 2 months, about 2 months ago, I finished it up and commercialized it and put it out there available for everybody. And then over the last month or so, I've been building and managing portfolios in it, which, I can go through and troubleshoot things as I see them come up. And then over the last two and a half weeks, I've been doing these videos to try to showcase some of this technology. Now, I've built reporting systems before. I've built executive decks. I've built all sorts of different tools, websites. But this is the first time I've actually been able to build this for myself. So if you don't know, this is a platform that is totally my own. I built it. It deploys all these different methods that I coach. And to me, this is something that's really cool because I get to create in this environment over time and turn it into at least what I think it needs to be, maybe what you tell me you think it needs to be, especially as I get moving forward in this process. But it's something that's very exciting to me. I am now a small business owner pursuing this. So just know that I'm not really like a YouTuber. I don't make my money off of the videos or that way. I make my money off of coaching these methods and trying to deploy and provide technology solutions for stock trading. So, really come and check it out. You can try all the stuff for free initially and take a look and try out the tools and see if you like it. And of course, if you like it, then you can pay a little bit of money and that unlocks all of the different stocks that you can access along with our video training program. So I spent close to 2 years developing different presentation decks that have a lot of detail in them in terms of not only stock trading, but finance in general. And we'll give you a decent background on finance, economics, as well as some of the terms that you're going to deal with when working with a lot of financial professionals. That's something that I took a lot of time to work on scripting it and pre-recording or recording everything and working through those scripts to make sure that I'm saying the right thing at the right moment, which is very different from this, where this is just totally off the cuff. I might have a couple notes in terms of what I think I want to talk about, but it's really just inspired by what I'm seeing here and what's coming to mind, and then maybe a couple little topics that I want to showcase. So it's a lot more put together, but all of that you can get for $100, which I'm getting to the point where I feel like that might be too low of a price, just because you get access to all this technology, 7,300 stocks, and the video training program. So it's really a tremendous value. And if you're interested, I'd encourage you to go out and get it, because I might change that price here pretty soon. And I can tell you it's going to go up if I change it. But anyway, take a look at it. It's definitely worth your time. And I hope that it's something that really resonates with you and helps you further along with your trading and just a better understanding of investments and the market. But, bear with me as I work through this platform and find little things that jump up and catch my eye that need maybe a little bit of attention. But one thing I've been talking about the last few days is rebalancing the portfolio and coming in with some different stocks. So I did actually move forward with those moves today with the stocks that we talked about yesterday. So the purchases that I made were Academy Sports and Outdoors, Bright Springs Health Services, DataDog, Reddit, Caesars Entertainment, and the other stocks that we have in here we had previously. And then in terms of, I did end up selling one share of CTAS Corporation. And then in terms of Arcadium Lithium, that was something that I was looking at yesterday to figure out what is going on with it, because it was a stock that I held that rated highly, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And there was just this odd other share in my portfolio. And when I took a look at it today, essentially what's going on is a company called Rio Tinto has purchased it, and they completed their acquisition earlier this week. So I actually went into my account today, and all of the shares had been converted into cash. They paid $5.85 a share. So that was kind of a nice surprise. I opened up my portfolio today and had cash sitting there. I thought I was going to have to sell the asset to rebalance everything, but didn't have to actually move forward with the transaction, and got a 1 cent premium on the share price. So that was a nice surprise to get that today. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about here briefly while I have your attention is just the asset and portfolio grades, the grades that are in the system, that as you search through here and look at different assets, you're going to see these grades here off to the side. And yesterday I mentioned that there's another view available in the system where you can see them all at once for that particular asset. But what exactly is, an asset grade? So let me pull up a couple slides here for you to just try to explain this. But essentially an asset grade, really the reason behind this was I was going through grad school, and you're learning all these metrics and all these statistics, and it's not easy. And I struggled a lot in terms of trying to get to that final result. And then when I did finally get to that final result, and I'm looking at a number and it's like a 0.3 and a 0.2, okay, sure, I'm smart enough to know that the 0.3 is higher than the 0.2, but what does that even mean, those two numbers? And am I even making a good investment? That's what I really wanted to know. So what I did is I ended up coming up with this idea where I thought, if just like in school, if you could assign a letter grade to each one of these assets, and that letter grade represents comparatively how that asset performed within the greater population, now you immediately have a point of reference where you can take a look at it and whether or not you're staring at an investment that at least has performed well. And you can tell immediately whether or not one is better than the other, because you'll see an A versus a B, or a B versus a C, or maybe you're trying to decide between two assets and maybe one is an A minus and the other is a B plus. So that way for that particular metric that this one performed a little bit better. And when you're looking at some of these strategies and different things that we coach, if you know that your strategy is to leverage Sharpe's measure or Trainer's measure, now when you're going and you're doing these asset selections, you can filter these tools specifically for those strategies, those metrics, and then you'll see the letter grades and you can see how they all compare from that perspective. Then when you're ready and you actually add those assets into your portfolio, the next step is what we call portfolio grades, which the portfolio grade represents the risk that each asset is contributing to your portfolio. So you can see in this example here, you have an A plus, an A minus. So the A plus is the asset that is contributing the least amount of risk to your portfolio. So there's actually two of them, Bright Springs Health Spa and CTAS Corporation in this example. Now, where does that come from? That actually comes from what's called a covariance matrix, which is something that every financial professional gets coached on, finance students get coached on, and it's a way to quantify and figure out how much, risk is attributed by combining two things together. So, it's not just about picking a couple stocks that you want to have in your portfolio. It's about picking stocks that you want to have and making sure that those stocks interact well with one another. And the portfolio grades can help you understand where that risk balance is in your portfolio and how to balance things out. And if you watch the video from yesterday, you'll see me taking a look at an alternative portfolio. And when I initially rebalanced it, the grades were out of whack. And I could immediately recognize that and make the changes that I needed to make in order to make sure that I wasn't taking on too much risk. So, and that's really kind of in a nutshell a lot of what's behind some of this. We'll get into, I'll talk a little bit more about optimization techniques and risk aversion again a little bit more later on this week. But those are really the main concepts. So, if this is getting your interest, if you think that this would be something that you'd like to leverage, it only takes about 5 minutes to come in and build a portfolio. And it takes maybe 30 seconds to come and sign up for the site. So come and check out portfolioexaminer.com. It's definitely worth your time. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below what you think of it, what you think of these videos. I'm always open to different topics, different ideas, and ways of making these things better. And I'm new at this. So, if there's different ways that we want to go about this, or, maybe there's a method that I'm coaching, but you're interested in something else, let me know. I can research it, and then we can make it a topic on a future episode. So until next time, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday. Bye.